the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us, so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us, so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action, so we may do what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal sun, may right action reap the harvest, so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. From the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Yum Kunab Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. Yum Kunab Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. Yum Kunab Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. All hail the harmony of mind and nature.
It's just different.
I am the world changer, coded by the blue storm. My number is 19, the power of all number. I am the master alchemist, the force behind the philosopher's stone. Skilled at the art of transmutation. I am the catalytic transformer of world consciousness and planetary living. I oversee the changes of the weather. I am the thunder that shatters your world systems. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies, It was I who caused the triple Aztec monuments of the Avatar archetype to appear in the ancient temple grounds. I oversee the morning and the evening stars. I behold the creator of the fifth sun, the present world. Sent forth am I to dwell among you, calling forth a sixth sun. For the great regeneration of the world's soul, to know me is to know your own power of self-generation. To know me is to know your own power of self-generation. Self-generation is power. I am the transport of clouds filled with lightning to illuminate the truth behind your illusions. I am the bringer of the drenching rains that purifies.
All right. Greetings and in Lakesh. Welcome to our session. My name is Neb Teharka Kin, and I am the founder and chancellor of the Synchronistic Human School of Enlightenment. And what we're doing here, this session that we're having, is I want to talk for just a short period of time about transformation and the role that endurance plays in transformation. I mean, how many of you really, if you think about this, you know that you need to transform, but you don't know how, right? So there's something that we have to determine before transformation can really start in the positive direction. And it's right action. Once you know the right action, or we'll coin that as behavior, it really can put you in a position now just to keep repeating the behavior until you transform your being, your state of being, or how you operate. And that transformation of your being is how you're going to end up transforming your life, your circumstances, relationships, etc. Okay. And it's so important because right now, the way society is moving, it's a series of transformation. You just can't transform one time and hit the mark because of how fast things are advancing and how quickly technology is changing, and that alters how we do things. We oftentimes have to get very comfortable being uncomfortable with the process of transformation. The aspect that I want to talk about in this particular session is the power of endurance. Now, those of you that follow us know that we teach and study Olmec and Mayan cosmology. And every day there is a oracle, or what we call a evolutionary expression, that we are tapping into to help us advance ourselves or evolve. In fact, we have a kind of a slogan that evolution is the solution, right? So evolution requires transformation. But it's not always comfortable, right? So one of the reasons why I want to talk to you about endurance is because to endure through certain circumstances, it requires a certain kind of state of mind. And I can just remember back when I got started in a business over 20 years ago. And do you know, in this process, I have had a a mind transplant several times because I had to redesign my thinking. Now, here's what I noticed. A lot of people want to keep the same thinking, but change their circumstances. And it's just impossible to do that. That from our perspective, we're experiencing a holographic projection of our mind. So we start with the inner, and however we are operating innermost in our innermost being, we see in our circumstances projected out into people, places, and things. Okay. So in transformation, we're transforming, we're changing from one form into another for a particular purpose. Now, one thing about it, the driving factor that if you're looking to transform, or you're thinking about listening to this, I know I need to transform, but I really don't know how. And some people may even be a little afraid that if they try to do all of this, try to transform and do everything that's required, and then it doesn't work, they're afraid that they might look silly. But I want you to put all that aside and listen to me, because through the Mayan and Olmec and Mayan cosmology, today is the 39th expression out of 260. So we have 260 expressions of the Creator to evolve through. This 260-day cycle is paramount for us advancing ourselves spiritually, transforming ourselves so that we can evolve. Okay. And the 29th expression of today, I'm going to go through the affirmation and I'm going to talk about the importance of endurance. So today, the 39th expression is called the blue cosmic hand, the blue cosmic storm. Sorry about that. The blue cosmic storm, right? And this is in the evolutionary cycle of what we call accomplishment, the hand of accomplishment and healing. And so what happens now is, as we listen to this, and I want you to listen to this, because it's very powerful, that if we listen to it with the ear and our heart, how it can effectuate change. All right. So the affirmation that goes along with this Kin expression, Kin expression, knowledge integrated naturally. goes like this. I endure in order to catalyze. Transcending energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of abundance. Now, I want you to think about that. Now, we usually say this 3 times. I'm going to say it 3 times. I want you to hear it and feel it in your soul. I endure in order to catalyze, right? Transcending energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of abundance. One more time to lock it in. I endure in order to catalyze. Transcending energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of accomplishment, or I am guided by the power of abundance. And I am a galactic activation portal. This is key. Listen. In order to catalyze transcending energy, self-generation, radiance, and accomplishment, and abundance enter me. It's abundance. I'm going to say it one more time. I am a galactic activation portal. In order to catalyze transcending energy, self-generation, right? Cosmic tone of presence and abundance enter me. Now, let's talk about it. So, a lot of times we want to transform, but it's kind of like wanting to go to heaven without dying, right? So, when we want to transform, there's some uncomfortable truths that we may have to accept. One of which is, what do we have to endure in order to get from here to there? What process? Now, let's talk about endurance. You know, it speaks to how durable we are, and what tells us how durable we are is how many challenges we can overcome or withstand, right? As we pursue what we're transforming for and what we want the transformation to help us do. How we want it to help us to be. Okay? So this is very important, because without being durable, without endurance, we're going to easily, what happens when people need to transform, like let's just say that let's talk about physically. Let's just say you're looking at yourself, you know, what is it? They say it's New Year's resolutions now, depending on what calendar you follow. And you're looking at yourself, you know, and you say, man, I need a whole body makeover. I need to transform this body into one that's more suitable for me to operate in, right? To do my day-to-day task. And you look at that and you say, okay, that's pretty simple. I need to transform. So usually what happens is what? I need to change my diet, right? Number one. Number two, you know, I may need to adjust my rest patterns. Why? Because number three, I need to start working out. I need to start exercising a little bit differently than I have. Now, we're going to use that example. Now, depending on what our eating habits were, depending on, you know, what our relationship is with electronics and how we sleep, right? And those type of things. And depending on how amenable we are to exercise could determine, is this going to be a tough process or is it going to be a very difficult one, right? Now, oftentimes, if you haven't been working out in a while, we're going to experience some soreness, right? We're going to experience, you know, some pain before we get back into the swing of things. So the question becomes, how fast do you want this transformation? And what do you have to endure in the process? What do you have to endure in terms of being able to dodge the urges to eat certain things that's not in alignment with what you need to eat? You see? What about when you start working and exercising, the soreness that you experience? You wake up one morning and you're just so sore, and then you're supposed to work out again and you can't work. You're like, man, I I don't know if I'll be able to work out. I'm so sore. I don't know if I'll be able to work out. Right. So these are things that we just from a workout standpoint, what we need to do. And then we may need to adjust our sleep patterns because we might be a little bit more tired during the day. And we're like, why am I tired? Why am I so tired? Well, you working your body different, right? So when we talk about durability and the intensity of the workout, and depending on what type of changes we're going to make in terms of our diet and how intense we feel with that, our endurance is how durable we can be to get through that process so that we can complete the transformation. Now, I'm going to give you some advice here. If you're going to decide to transform, that's the biggest decision that you can make, one of the biggest ones you can make, right? But if you're going to decide to transform, here's the caveat to it. You have to decide to complete the process. So many people, they stick the toe in it and they say, "Oh, that's too hot. I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more training before I transform." We're gonna be talking about something called initiation by fire in some of our upcoming sessions. In fact, our session that we're doing on this coming Sunday, initiation by fire. So sometimes you just can't prepare. You just have to dive in. But sometimes you can help train yourself to become more durable, getting into a certain flow, getting to a certain habits. But let me tell you, durability is what I call is a critical success factor, a CSF, critical success factor. That transforming sounds great when we just look at the outcome of what's going to take place. It looks great then, but when we have to endure some adversity that don't feel good, that's when we really see what we're made of. And it's the same thing with anything. If you're transforming spiritually, you better watch out because you're going to be faced with multi-dimensional issues, right? It could be in your family that you're experiencing resistance with, your immediate family. You could contract an illness, right? And then now you're very sensitive, or your emotions a certain kind of way. You could lose a job or a top client. It could reduce your revenue for a business. You could be dealing with not having the time and the energy and the space to go ahead and prepare the proper meals or do the proper meal prep and meal planning. So all of this comes into play, and it can all hit you at the same time and make it seem very difficult to endure that process so you can transform. How durable are you? How durable are you speaks to what degrees of adversity can you handle? I was listening to a coach, Nick Saban, coach, the former coach of the Alabama college football team, the Crimson Tide. And he was talking about, he has a home in Florida, and the salesperson came to sell him in Florida a certain kind of blinds. And he said, well, what's the difference between these blinds and these blinds? The salesperson was telling him. And then he said, listen, this is what I need to know. Which one is going to be most durable when those hurricanes come? And he quickly said, these over here. And so he said, those are the blinds that I want. And he purchased the blinds. Now, let me tell you something about durability. We will go back to endurance. Endurance and durability goes beyond you, right? Because if you want to transform, you may need a support team. You may need some people to encourage you, right? And you want the people to encourage you that's already had to endure something similar so that they can render the proper support, so they don't come across as a negative peace in your life. If you're around a lot of people, I don't know why they try to transform. I don't know what the problem is with this person. Why do they need, look, man, eat what you want. I don't know why you need to transform your body, right? After you get past a certain age. Well, of course we want to do it because we want to live a better life. We want to live more comfortably, right? But the point is durability. Before you decide, I want to transform into this particular body, or I want to transform my life from this type of financial outcome or income statement to this type of income statement, you want to be thinking about, number one, how durable am I, right, to overcome these challenges that I know is going to come. And if you're not confident about how durable you are, then you need to start working on your stamina and your durability. You need to start practicing. When I was in the military, we back from 90 to 94, they would tell us to train as you fight. What that meant was you never can really train for wartime stress. But they put us under stressful conditions the best they could to give us a simulation of what that would be, because we would have to endure that stress, that seeing, people getting injured and potentially getting killed, and how that could affect us emotionally, what the terrain is offering, what the weather is offering, all these different things, these conditions, right, create something that we have to overcome, that we have to be durable through in order to accomplish the mission. Now, I'm talking to you about this, and this sounds like a simple thing, because we live in an instant society, and so we want things to happen like a snap of a finger. But let me tell you what I had to do when I made my first transformation. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in a direct sales company. I was in a company where we're focusing on business development and some of these things. And I had to do a whole change. I had to change how I looked. I had to change how I cut my hair. I had to change because I had to change my attire. I had to change how I walked. You see, I had to make some changes because I was not only trying to get pursuing a certain result, but I was looking to attract a certain type of person into my growth process, into clientele and things of that nature, that it required me to walk and be the example. I had to become the example that I wanted to attract. And many a time, that's a good barometer on how to, and thought process and how to do it. Are you the example right now? Are you the model for how this needs to work? Now, probably if you need to transform, you're not the model yet. But once you determine this is what I need to do to create the model, that's part of the plan, right? This is how my household needs to be organized so I can flow in the household. If I'm gonna be working out all the time, for example, I need to already have my workout clothes ready and be ready to walk out the door at the time that I deem to go out and do it. So I don't procrastinate and give that one little crack in the door, that 1% of doubt means you're out, right? And so these type of things, when I made my transformation, I realized there was a lot of things that I needed to change. And before I even got to the obstacles, before I even got to people that would tell you no, before I even got to, some of the limitations that I may have had in marketing materials, before I even got to any conflicts that I had with my spouse or other family members and how that affected me going out and making this transformation so that I can be better in my genre of business at the time. So let me tell you what I had to do. I had to have a mind transplant. I had to completely change my thinking in such a way so that I would be undeniably, right, focused and relentless until I completed the transformation. And of course, every time there's a transformation, there's something that I need to do with that transformative self, right? That's going to allow me to get something more that I want that I can't get now. You see, if you want a better lifestyle, it might require you, I'm telling you, it's going to require you to change who you are. But sometimes we be looking through, YouTube and TikTok and all these different things, trying to find where's the easier way that I can find that I can get to this result without transforming or without having to endure too much pain. And so let me tell you, the transformation process is like the birthing process. You're going to experience some pain because a part of you is going to leave this experience. The part of you that made excuses is going to have to stop making excuses at this point. The part of you that didn't have a very strong work ethic, it doesn't mean you got to work hard. You can work smart, but there might be some times you might have to work extendedly and with the focus so that you can get the result you want. And if you're not used to that, that definitely can cause you some issues, right? In your tissues. It can help you, it can cause you to impede progress, right? So I had to do a whole mind transfer in the way I needed to look, the way I needed to carry myself, the way I ate, the way I decided to operate in terms of a work ethic. I also had to also write this down. I had to become more competent in the areas that I needed to become more competent in so I could transform. Competency is another one. Let me tell you another one. Let me tell you another I had to endure. I had to endure my ego because I had to become something called coachable. I had to be willing to listen to someone who already done it. And what's interesting is everybody that I listened to, they achieved the same thing I wanted to achieve, but their process was much different. Their approach was much different. I said, well, I would never do it that way, but I wasn't operating at the level that they were. So I had to put my ego on the shelf and said, now let me try it that way. Once I started doing it that way, I understood it was uncomfortable, but I understood, oh, now I see why they were doing it that way. I see it. It made sense. You see? So I had to be coachable. That means I had to listen, watch this with the ear in my heart. You know how many people, they'll listen to programs on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Patreon, but they won't listen to a purpose. And it's like the program could deceive you faster than an actual person can, right? But you want to find the right people that you can model yourself after so that you can get results faster. But part of the results getting processed means you may have to endure some discomfort. Matter of fact, write this down. And you building your endurance and you building your durability, you're going to have to, right, find comfort in your discomfort. That's what you're going to have to do. I don't care if you transforming spiritually. Well, you're going to have to endure a process of challenges, of urges and different things to help you advance yourself spiritually. And these things are coming for you to address. Right? You're going to have to address those things that are coming at you, wherever and however you want to transform yourself. But I'm going to tell you something. The key factor is decision. I'm going to go all the way, and how to endure the process. And so you got to be able to say, I got to toughen up. I got to become a little more durable. The first thing that comes to mind, right, when I tell somebody that, the first thing is that you got to stop complaining about the stuff you're complaining about. right? Because what you complain about becomes your focus, and then that's not right in line with why you're transforming and where you're going to get to after you transform. It's not going to happen. You got to understand that when we're transforming for a purpose, there's somewhere different that we want to be than where we are right now. And some people will say, well, let me find the shortest video that's going to help me do it. Even if it did help you do it, you wouldn't have any endurance to deal with any challenges when you think you transform and ready to take on the world at this new level. You're still going to get them challenges that you got to deal with. Because write this down: to he or she, much is given, much is required. Right? You're going to be expected to handle circumstances differently than the person that hadn't transformed yet. Man, when I did my mind transform, everything changed. I didn't watch the news. I didn't watch it for 30 days. Then I said, I don't need to watch this at all anyway, because it was bringing a lot of negativity. I woke up at a certain time. I went to bed at a certain time. When I did tasks, I did it with a certain intensity. I did it with a level of excellence that I hadn't done it before. And it would get tough because it would feel like, watch this. This is just the other thing that you deal with durability is fatigue. So with fatigue, you just have to increase your stamina. With durability, you have to psychologically say, I got to get over these obstacles. And when you got the stamina and you can get over these obstacles, you can develop the degree of endurance to endure the process of transformation within you and the process of transforming your circumstances so that you can live the life that you deserve right now. And you can live by design and not default. Endurance. And let me tell you something. Whether you need to transform or not right now, you want to start working on your endurance right now. You want to start working on your stamina. Okay? So if you get out of breath, if you get fatigued, because instead of you usually work 1 hour straight, but now you got to work 2 or 3 hours straight, right? So now you got to work on your fatigue. You got to work on your organization. You got to work on these type of things, because your mind. Let me tell you something. A lot now we got to endure the psychology of our mind trying to keep us where we're comfortable. That's what your mind is designed to do. No, Neb, we don't really need to transform. We could just do X, Y, Z and have the illusion as if we have what we want. But we don't really need to transform. We don't really need to change all that. This might be a little painful. And so our minds are more apt to avoid pain than to gain pleasure in many cases. So why am I bringing this up to you? Some of you right now, and I want to do this more often. I want to pick a topic and talk about it, because many of us are just on the surface. We say, "Yep, that's what I want. I want to lose weight and make money in 2026. Yep, that's what I want. You know, I want to be able to change jobs and make more money. Yep, that's what I want." But we on the surface. We're not thinking about what challenges are coming. Where are you challenges? What challenges are going to come that I'm going to have to endure from? And let me tell you, endure past. And what you want to do is start preparing for those particular challenges. They coming. And the more you prepare for challenges, the more durable you become in the midst of adversity. And so now, watch this. Endurance becomes the factor that transforms you from where you were to the state of mind and the state of being that you need to be in. Right? It's not about just doing. Who are you and who are you becoming? Right? It don't even matter who you are right now. Who are you becoming? And staying focused and enduring that process so that you can access this type of experience. To he or she, much is given, much is required. You're going to be challenged. And if you are challenged the right way, right? You're going to endure and you're going to catalyze. What does that mean? Get stuff stirred up. I'm enduring this because I'm about to get some things stirred up in my life so that I can move from point A to point B. And that you enduring and increasing your durability is going to change you from the state of being that you are now into a new state of being. But here's the third factor, your presence. Not only do you got to be present for your evolution, you got to be present for enduring the process of becoming more durable. Transcending yourself means you're going to go beyond where you are, transcending yourself, going beyond the state of being that you're in now to become something completely different so you can have something completely different. Right? Be, know, do, have. Right? You want something different. And if you want something different, I want this to make sense to you, but I'm telling you, to do it on the surface and not consider what you got to endure and the level of durability depending on what you're transforming into and what you're doing, having that transformation for, you're going to need to know that. And you're going to have to be present. In other words, you can't be distracted on your phone and all this kind of stuff when it's time to focus on your transformation. When you focus on your transformation, you don't need any distraction. You need your blinders on, because one distraction can take you off track, can take you up, can take you out of the equation. And then now you have to start all over. Now we have to deal with embarrassment and this kind of thing. You see? So this is so important that it's simple, but it's not always easy to transform. It just sounds good. It sounds like it's the end thing. It sounds like this is the trend. I need to transcend myself. I need to transform, change form. And I like to make these decisions about transformation based on permanent change for the most part. These are the hardest ones because whatever your personal habits have been up to this point, it's going to dictate how well you're able to change into this. The people around you may not like your changes because they may require them to do something different. Now they may not support you the same way. And so you got to endure the process of getting new support and supporting yourself different, becoming self-sufficient. And I go back to that time frame when I had that mind transfer. Man, when I had that mind transfer, it prepared me to be disciplined for the level of endurance that I needed to have in order to achieve the type of success that I wanted to achieve. It all was wrapped in to that process. But without the radical change, without my mind, right, transplant, it would have never happened. I had to think completely different. Because I at one point, I just thought you just think things and then you start doing it and everything say, yay, Neb wants to change and become better so he can provide better for his family and do these different things. And there are some aspects that's not, they ain't saying yay. They say, he ain't ready. We about to wear him out. He going to change his mind when he figure out what he got to do in the process, what he got to endure in the process. And so this is why you have to make a real true decision about what you're going to do. And that decision is not only am I going to transform, I'm going to complete this transformation in a certain time frame so that I can hold myself accountable. And so if I need to eat different, let me go ahead and get that plan. Let me start meal planning right now. If I need to sleep different, let me go ahead and start meditating and start winding down a little bit earlier so I can get to bed or so I can get up earlier and work out if that's what it is for you. You see? And so that's going to help you endure the challenges and the adversity that comes along with transformation. And let me tell you that the end result, your presence. Your presence is not only required for the process of transformation and becoming more durable. It's the presence that people feel when you completed that process. You won't have to say a word. In fact, I've been told that 55% of communication is nonverbal. It's nonverbal. You will walk into a place and your aura will say, this is somebody that ain't playing around. This is somebody that took it to a whole nother level. They're operating at a whole nother level, a higher octave. And because of that, they're unstoppable now as it relates to this change, this transformation that they made. Your presence will be made known. And your presence will precede you opening your mouth and speaking. And they will know before you take any action, they will know before you open your mouth, this is a different kind of person. This person has made a shift in the transformation. Because they'll be able to feel it. Your presence will influence others to want to transform as well. And now that's when you know you really died. They're inspired by seeing you be different. And now this is helping them effectuate change that they hadn't known before. Family, this is an incredible opportunity today. Based on the kin expression number 39. I endure in order to catalyze. Transcending energy. Taking my energy and saying, I'm going to take it to another level. I'm going to eat different so I got more energy. I'm going to sleep different so that I'm fresh and I'm crisp and I'm clean. I'm ready to go. I'm going to operate different and be more organized so I can be more precise. And I'm going to go beyond energy. I'm going to change to how I focus my energy so I can change how I live. I seal the matrix of self-generation. So I'm self-generated, self-regulated. With the cosmic tone of presence, I'm present for the whole process, and my presence is going to transform those around me. I'm guided by the power of abundance. The sky has no limit or limits. I'm bringing you this message today to encourage you, those of you that want to get more knowledge on Mayan and Olmec cosmology. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal because it will help you transform and evolve like anything I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of things, but it provides a roadmap and a cosmology that shows you the different patterns of how these evolutionary cycles unfold. All right. To do that, you need to get your kin number. Kin number, KIN. We know that kinfolk, but this is a galactic kin number. My kin number is kin number 239, right? And it's associated with the 239th expression of the Creator. I'm going to close with my affirmation so you can see my purpose in all this, right? The kin expression 239 out of 60, the blue overtone storm states, I empower in order to catalyze. Commanding energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. I'm going to say it again. I empower. So I know my purpose is about empowering myself and helping people empower themselves, empowering a situation in order to catalyze. Commanding energy. I'm going to tell my energy, we're going to do this no matter what. Nothing will stop me, not even me. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the overtone tone of radiance. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. One more time to lock it in. I endure, or I should say, I empower in order to catalyze commanding energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the overtone tone of radiance, and I am guided by the power of accomplishment. And in this kin, as well as kin 39, 239 is also a portal. This is a portal into my memory, and this is implying I already had this capability. I just hadn't remembered it yet. So I am a galactic activation portal in order to catalyze commanding energy, self-generation, radiance, and accomplishment into me. I'm defining the energy that I want to come into me for the purpose today of transformation. It could be for any purpose. So if you don't have your kin number, you need to find out what that is so that you can now operate with your purpose on this planet, and everything changes when you do that. Everything respects you differently when you walk with your purpose in everything that you do. One other thing, we're going to be having on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you happen to look at this segment on transformation and endurance, you're welcome to join us on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. We have a session called Living Abundantly in the New Time, and we're going to be talking about initiation by fire, right? By universal fire tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. And so I highly recommend that you join us. I'm looking forward to next Saturday having another session like this, and we're going to be talking about how to intend and create the right opportunities for yourself. That's what we're going to be talking about. All right, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. All right, opportunities. Now that you transform, how do you get the right opportunities coming your way so you can advance yourself in this 3D world? All right. So with that being said, I want to say in Lakesh means I am another you. Alakin means you are another me. Hotep, Hetipu, and Namaste. And remember, no matter what, evolution is the solution. This is going to conclude our session. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to message me, DM me, email me, and let's evolve together. Peace.